Today, we are just a little over a month left on the Switch 2 launch, and Nintendo has had a bit of a rocky, challenging time, so we're wondering what can they do to regain control of the narrative over Switch 2 and really just make this last month plus a really big success, and they can launch the Switch 2 into existence in a positive way.
Yeah, they've had a crazy busy April, and it's hard to believe that it's been still less than a month since the big Switch 2 Direct. They've been so much that's happening. They've done that. They've done all their media events. They've had this worldwide tour where people could go hands-on. So it feels like this first big wave of activities for them is kind of wrapping up, and they're probably looking ahead, and it's a good time for them to reflect of, well, we've done some things that are working. We've done some things that maybe aren't working. Should we just stick to the old plan and, cover our eyes and hope it works out? Or is it time to really think about making some tweaks?
Yeah, not too late for them to sort of acknowledge what's been happening, what people are saying, what people are feeling, because it does make a difference when you are like so close to the thing being on sale where, at this point people have pre-ordered. We are just a little while away for the thing just being on sale. So it is kind of your last chance to do everything you can, make the best impression possible, really set yourself up for success. And, we've been through so many launches while we were at Nintendo. Some were very successful, like the Switch 1 launch that we were a part of. And you can kind of feel in the month leading to a successful launch, like, yeah, we did everything we can, and we know this is going to be good.
Yeah.
And in other cases, they have not been very successful, and you do get very reflective about, what could have I done better to, have a better chance of it becoming something that is not gonna fail. So yeah.
What's interesting is some of the things, they are what they are, and there's not really much you can do to fix it. But some of the other things you can address. Like there are things within their power to make some of these situations a little bit better. Mm-hmm. So it will be telling to see if they decide to do anything about it, or just like, hey, we're sticking to the plan. It is what it is. Here we go.
And we had some really good conversations already about, some of the strangeness in their decision making. I feel like the strangeness in decision making has continued even into last week with the Mario Kart Direct, and with the pre-orders reopening back up. So there is some stuff that they are just doing in a bit of a weird way. But again, not too late to do some other stuff, to try some other things, to be a little bit more imaginative and a little bit scrappier, which is hard for them to do at times, to really make this thing a success.
Speaking of pre-order, shout out to anybody who might be listening to this podcast in a GameStop line on Thursday morning. Good way to pass the time.
Company.
Maybe I'm listening to my own podcast in line on a Thursday morning. That might be me. I'm planning to do that.
Yeah, you're planning on
doing
that. So
good luck. I hope it all worked out for everybody.
Yes.
Before we get into our big conversation, a couple things on the channel that you should know about. We did a great... You were tapping me on the shoulder for a while, so we need to do a video about game chat.
I really feel like I'm the only one that wanted to talk about this. I don't know if other people were as interested in this as I am, but there was something about the way Nintendo was like presenting game chat to us in the Switch 2 Direct, and the way that they have put it into like as the big marquee thing for the big commercial that they did for Switch 2. And also that phrase they kept using, the together alone phrase, which just screamed to me like Mr. Iwata, because that was the thing that he talked about so much around the Wii U era. I'm just completely fascinated by the way Nintendo is thinking about game chat. And, on the surface, it can be very simple. Like, it's just a way to, chat with your friends or whatever. And people can be very sort of like, it is that, and you can take it or you can leave it. But I'm really fascinated with not just like the idea of game chat being a way for you to chat while you're playing games, but the way Nintendo is presenting game chat to us is such an interesting insight into how they're thinking about it.
Yeah, they did that big, expensive new commercial with Paul Rudd, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, that was kind of, with Mario Kart, the main thing that they showed in that, which is pretty interesting. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one, but I was so reminded of the Mr. Iwata days.
Yes.
A bit.
You can watch that video and weigh in.
with game chat.
We at the end of the week, we have scheduled our time to record our Split Fiction spoiler cast.
Yes.
We aren't done yet. As a co-op only game, I am now getting the Krysta experience of white knuckling our way to the end of this game, where you've pronounced many times, "Oh, we're basically done. Oh, we might as well be done." And it's like, no.
I feel like
we have to keep going.
Danger, guys! Help me! I'm being coerced into playing the game.
We have to do this.
I think about 2 nights ago, you said we are on the second to last chapter.
I said we had 2 more chapters to go. We were just starting the second to the last one.
Yeah, which was very like, okay, so we're getting close to the end.
Yes.
And then the night after that, I had plans, and so I couldn't play.
Yeah, that was a.
So we lost a night.
Right.
We've been playing like about an hour.
Wednesday night. We're recording this on Tuesday. We're gonna have to do pre-orders at our 9 o'clock. So there's a big chunk of our evening.
We can still play like for an hour.
For a little
and
bit.
Then
sure.
sign off and do pre-orders.
Sure.
And then we'll have to see how we go. But we did do a big chunky section last night.
A section that you loved.
Listen to the spoiler cast.
We will be talking about this section of the spoiler cast.
I may never be the same again. I don't know.
If only I had game chat to see your face.
This is the camera's off meeting.
You were freaking out.
I was really freaking out. I didn't like it. Anyways.
That'll be out before the end of the month.
Yes, but we're having a lot of fun. We really are having a great time. And I think we were talking about it, this game is the right length for it to be like a co-op only game.
Yes.
Because it would be so sad if you had gotten like halfway through
and the other person's like, I'm tired of this.
Yeah, and your friend's like, I don't want to play with you anymore. I'm just going to... And you're like, but I want to keep going. Like if the game was like 100 hours long or something, that would be like impossible.
Can't do that. No.
More gameplay videos.
Yes. So the Kirby Air Ride video is up.
Yes.
Check that out
That
if you
fun.
want to learn about the legacy of Kirby Air Ride before Kirby Air Riders. Check it out. And then yesterday we recorded a gameplay video for Soul Calibur 2.
I got good at the end of the video.
Which is coming to the GameCube NSO on the Switch 2. And Soul Calibur 2 was a series that I absolutely loved for a long time, but the last couple entries just weren't doing it for me, and then they kind of stopped making it. So I've fallen off of Soul Calibur. I fell back in love with this game.
I have never been, like, as you know, a very like big fighting games person.
Fine.
But it's really fun in a social, like party kind of setting, and that's where I had my Soul Calibur experiences. But I really got a window into your Soul Calibur fandom with this game because we were using your old GameCube game. And you had your save file intact, and you were a completionist.
I got all the
you
stuff.
got everything.
Got
it was
all.
Incredible to see. And of course, this one is the one with Link.
Yes, we're playing the GameCube version, which has Link. We did a ton of matches with Link. We showed all of the different weapons that you can get.
It was really fun
with Link.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Yes,
it's super fun.
This is such a great addition to NSO.
Oh my
this
gosh.
game, this is a big game. We were like, oh wait, if this is one of the ones that they're adding online to, that's going to be actually
that's next level,
legit cool.
Yeah.
So we got pretty hyped for Soul Calibur 2 in this gameplay video.
Yes.
All this stuff, the Split Fiction spoiler cast and the Soul Calibur 2 video, they'll be out by the end of the month. As always, that's Patreon exclusive, or get it from the Patreon shop. Yes. All right. Just a moment, we're going to get into our conversation about how Nintendo can regain control of the Switch 2 narrative, but first we have a new sponsor.
Oh boy.
New sponsor alert to shout out. This episode is sponsored by the Good Bad Billionaire podcast. The podcast we've been enjoying and loving.
Yes.
So Minecraft, it's a pretty simple game at heart, but it's been hugely successful. It's sold over 300 million copies to date and is now a major Hollywood movie starring Jack Black. But Minecraft all started with one guy, Swedish programmer Marcus Persson, who wrote the code for the first version of the game in just 1 week. Persson is currently worth $1.2 billion, and being independent was always extremely important to Persson. It would make him sort of a god to gamers. So how would this lone coder become a billionaire, and how would he handle the pressure once he did? To hear more about Marcus Persson, listen to The Good Bad Billionaire, the podcast from the BBC on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, the BBC app, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Wow, sounds like a very interesting story.
This is a very good podcast.
Very good.
Series.
Yes.
A lot of interesting stuff that they touch upon there.
We will leave the link in the description below and also here with a QR code for you to scan.
Okay, so Nintendo and their situation and their question about what to do now.
Yeah.
It's interesting because Nintendo is truly a company that is about this kind of like real-time readjustment to the plans. They called it PDCA.
Plan, do, check, act.
Yes.
I still remember the acronym.
And this was like one of the mantras that was always like ingrained in us.
Yeah.
And it kind of became this thing.
Like a running joke almost.
Because it became something that we had to do for everything. It wasn't just like a special occasion where like, oh, we have this opportunity or something truly is not working. It was like for every game. It's like before you were even done with the campaign, it's like start thinking about your PDCA ideas.
Yeah.
Because we're going to need them.
We're going to need them.
The PDCA plan is coming.
Yeah.
So it got kind of, that idea kind of worn out. But this is truly an opportunity for this.
For some PDCA.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not a big sort of secret or whatever. I think everybody, even the most diehard Nintendo fans like ourselves, we've all recognized that this has been a bit of a rocky launch for Nintendo. You know, they've had some real highs and lows. They showed off some incredible looking games, games that I think a lot of people are super excited about. They had some really fun hands-on events that people have really, the people that got to attend seem to have just really enjoyed, you know, touching the system, getting a chance to try the games. A lot of positive things were said about those events. But they also had some not so positive things, some really negative you know, sentiment around the price. They sort of had some shaky interviews that led to you know, not really kind of clarifying the situation, but really making people even more confused. They've had a lot of misinformation.
Yes.
They've had a lot of confusion, and they've had a thing that's very rare from Nintendo that I was really even surprised by, where they did not manage our expectations, which is something that they were so strict about. And, you know, we would be, you know, lectured endlessly about how we can't even use the word surprise. Don't you dare, you know, inflate somebody's expectations so that when the thing happens, they end up being disappointed. And that's exactly what happened in that Mario Kart Direct that was last week. Everybody got their expectations completely inflated by things that Bill and Doug said, only to be a bit disappointed in the actual thing. So they've had a bit of a rocky...
It's true. I mean, there are some things that are truly working and some things that truly aren't. So we want to put ourselves in sort of the virtual boardroom of like, if we were having an end of April meeting.
Yeah, which they're having.
You know, Mr. Furukawa, Doug Bowser, Mr. Todd, all the big wigs. It's like, okay, we've done the first month of our promotion. Let's really take a step back, see how it's going, and what do we do now?
Yeah.
We have 5 suggestions. Recommendations, whatever you want to call them.
Strategic recommendations.
Proposals that we would like them to think long and hard about. But first, we want to talk about some things that we think are kind of off the table.
Right.
These are things that these things come up frequently, but we think they're not even really looking seriously at any of these.
Right. There are things that I think a lot of people are just shouting for, like, why don't you just do this?
Yeah. This would solve all your problems. Do this
right,
thing.
Right, do this now. But these are things that we think Nintendo is 100% not going to do, and really not an option for them. The first thing is drop the price. No matter how long, how many streams they do where the chat is spammed with all caps, drop the price, how many comments you leave on their social media channels, how many times they hear somebody say, drop the price, they unfortunately will not be dropping any prices.
Right.
They may be doing some bundling, you know, in the holiday time frame or things like that. But in terms of Mario Kart suddenly being a $60 game,
no,
that is, and then Nintendo coming out and saying, like, we heard you, we will drop the price from $79.99 to, you know, $59.99. That is 100% something they're not going to do.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely can't show that you are like reactionary to an angry mob, because then you're beholden to every single
lost control.
Angry mob.
Yeah.
But I think also, like, I think that people believe that, like, yeah, this is worth the money, and people, once they play it, they're going to come around to it. So it's kind of one thing, one part the other of them, like, well, let's wait, and they will see for themselves.
Yeah, and they try to take that approach a little bit with this Mario Kart Direct, right? They kept saying, wait and watch the Direct, then you will see, well, that came and went, and that didn't really happen. So now I think what they're telling themselves is, well, we'll just wait and see until the game comes out.
There's always often this next thing.
The next thing.
Wait until this.
Wait until that.
People used to joke, the phrase among Nintendo fans was wait till Space World. And Nintendo, because they're like, oh, Nintendo's had kind of a bad year, wait till Space World. Then they're going to announce all the things.
But that was kind of the mentality.
But they do this to themselves, too. It's like, well, these 3 things that we did didn't work, but we have this next thing in a month. That's the silver bullet. Wait for that.
Exactly. So they do get caught up in that. And I think we all saw it happening in real time. The Switch 2 Direct happened. We saw the negativity. Wait till Treehouse Live. Treehouse Live happened. Negativity continued. Wait till the interviews. Interview happened. Still negativity. Wait till the Mario Kart Direct. Mario Kart Direct happened. Still negativity. Wait till the game comes out. That is the train of thought, that they kind of put themselves, they kind of like get themselves, worked into. But I do think that they, at their core, believe in the way that they priced and valued their stuff. They feel that this is the right value for it. And no matter how many times an angry mob, shouts at them, that is where they will not budge.
Yes. Very similar conversation is around Welcome Tour and whether that should be $10 as it is or whether that should just be a free packet. They're not changing.
The ship has sailed
for the same reason. Because again, like this is something that people are angry about and shouting about, and you can't be reactionary to that. But well documented from Reggie, the process and back and forth that he went through and kind of the brick wall that for a while he was banging up against of like the value of our software is a real thing. We must respect that.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing here.
Exactly. And, the reason why the Wii Sports story comes up so much as an important comp for this is that was all happening like months before the announcement of these things, the launch of these things happened. And it takes somebody like a Reggie to be like on them, constantly for months and months and months in the time leading up to the launch plans being finalized to make that something like that, Wii Sports becoming a packet happen. Those conversations unfortunately did not happen for Welcome Tour, I don't think. So this is the place that we're in now. Like literally that ship has sailed, as they say, and it's $10.
Right.
Other things people are saying, obviously with Mario Kart to do the online stuff, you will need an NSO membership. People are saying, why not
throw us a bone,
offer us a year of free NSO or a couple months of free NSO. Again, I think this is a thing where, it'd be great if Nintendo would do something like this, but they really, again, have placed a value threshold sort of on the barrier to the cost to enter into online gameplay on their platforms, and NSO is that. And there's value to other things too, like they have the GameKeep stuff coming, like we were saying, they have all these other offerings. So they believe the value of NSO is there, and to like give anything away for free is dangerous to them because they feel like, oh, now we're devaluing this thing that we said is worth this much to you.
I think they would say, well, we're already being very generous with Nintendo Switch Online. Game chat, which requires that's free to use for everybody for a good while after the system comes out. There are games that will give you those free, like I think it was Mario Party Jamboree had a pretty
free trial.
Heavy free trial for NSO in there. So they say, well, there's if you want some free NSO, like you can get that. And I think they would also just say, this service is already like priced well below
other
similar subscription services. So like you're already getting a really good value for this. Yeah. I think that would be their position on that.
Yeah.
I've also seen people say like, well, if they just, Doug Bowser's been teasing the new 3D Mario games, like just announce it. Like just announce these things that would get us over the hump. But we just don't think they're going to rush any major game announcement before it's time. They have their plans that, expand. I'm sure they've got at least the rest of this year mapped out in terms of game announcements and Nintendo Directs and partner stuff and reveals like that. They're absolutely sticking to that plan because they feel like that is the right pacing of things to get the information out.
Yeah, and there's no way from a development side they would let like the marketing team dictate the timing of announcements before a game is ready. This is very much a company that's driven by the developers, and when they're good and ready to announce something, like you work your marketing plan around it. So using that as a lever to market Switch 2 is just not, not non-existent.
If I'm Mr.
basically.
Koizumi and the head of marketing
You
comes
can
to me
just
and
say,
says,
"Buzz right off."
people are mad about the Switch 2, we better announce the new Mario game. We say, well, you better fix that. Let me know when you fix that. We can announce my game.
He'd be sipping his coffee
Yeah.
and slamming the door in your face. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the last thing we have is, they have been doing these interviews. Doug Bowser has been, finally in the public for a time, doing interviews with different media outlets. They are going to continue to put a PR spin on all of their answers. So if you're expecting, Doug Bowser to just come out and tell you why, for realsies, Mario Kart is $80, that's probably not going to happen. He's not going to truth bomb you,
I mean, if you want the truth serum version of the Doug Bowser answer, it's like, hello. Have you heard of a thing called leverage? Because we have it and you don't.
Yes.
And we know you're going to buy it no matter what. Thanks for asking.
Exactly.
That's the honest to God truth behind why they feel like they can go. Yes, they believe it's worth it. It has a lot of value, but it also is like
it's because they can.
We can do this to these people.
Yeah.
They will let us do this.
They will let us do this.
So that's kind of, it's like, you just can't say these things.
No, not out loud as Doug Bowser.
Exactly. So
we can say it, but Doug Bowser can't.
So they're not going to proactively say it. If they get asked, they're going to have some cute little, sanitized PR answer.
A non-answer.
There are just some things that are a little too real. To put out there.
Yeah, and there's a lot of questions that you may have that fall into this category. Beyond price, the stuff around tariffs, like, are they ever going to raise the price because of tariffs? And the answer might be, that's not off the table, that a price increase could be...
Well, they kind of had said, they did say that.
They did say that.
They already said that.
I mean, but it could be even more realistic, more closer than you think.
Yes.
But it's one of those things where if you're looking for... You're looking to read an interview with answers from a Doug Bowser, a Bill Trinen, or Nate Bildorf that has actual truth in it, that's probably not going to happen. Yeah.
Can we get truth serum? Is that something that exists?
If you're...
Can I get it? Can I find it?
Brew it. Let me brew some truth serum in my garage.
Where do I get the truth serum?
Just whip up a batch for you.
I know. So those are the things that we think they're not going to do in our hypothetical board meeting. Things that people would say, no, we can't be doing that. Don't even mention that.
But there are some things they can do.
Yes, 5 things we have here.
And all of these things are very realistic. They're grounded in reality, in which that Nintendo could actually execute.
And you could argue maybe they should have done this starting April 2nd, some of these things.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they should have moved a little quicker on some of these things, but these are absolutely doable things still now, April 22nd or whatever, until June 5th, they have the opportunity to do some of these things to maybe just really solidify in people's minds, yes, this thing is cool, I want to have it day one. Some of my questions, some of my misgivings that I'm having, Nintendo has answered them. I appreciate that. These are things that they can do to help a consumer's mind get there. You know?
The first 2 are linked, but let's start with the first one, which is it's just recognizing. We've mentioned this before. Of my gosh, these new current day consoles are so complex and there's so much information. To tell the full story of every detail of it is this really overwhelming thing. But they've gone about it in a very strange way, where all the information about it, here's some in one place, oh, we squirreled some away in this place, oh, you've got to read pages and pages through this thing on the website if you want to get to this. Why don't they just have a mega Switch 2 FAQ very prominently on their website that they can link to on social media, have everywhere, that's here's every detail that we can think of, and maybe we're updating this on the fly as well as we see, people want to know about, people have interest in this, just keep updating it. Down to very mundane things.
Yeah.
Because people just want to know, and if people don't have it, they're either going to come to their own conclusions or they're going to be upset that they can't get the information. Guess who has the information? Nintendo. So put it out there.
Yeah, this is the thing that was just really a strange decision from my perspective, because you would think that when you are announcing a new system, when you're putting a new thing out in the market, you would want to have like a single source of truth, as they call it, so that you can make sure that people have as much clarity as possible into what this thing is. Like, granted, this is a pretty like, yes, we understand what a switch is. This is like a more powerful switch, but they have a lot of complex things in there about like those game keys, about how system game sharing works, how the DLC
is the DLC included in the Switch 2 edition.
Editions. Right. Like, they have some more complex like things that are included in this conversation that have become these big talking points. And it honestly has become kind of a distraction.
It's an issue.
To the thing that Nintendo probably wants you to be focused on, which is like, check out these new games and this cool new console that we have, versus you arguing about how or which way a game key
People
works.
cling on to these things because they don't have an answer, and it kind of cycles and cycles, and then eventually maybe they'll say something in an interview or something, but it's maybe not completely answering the question. Yeah. Just give people all the information on all of these topics, as many topics as you can think of. Let people read to their heart's content, and they go, okay, I understand all the ins and outs of this very complex system. Wow.
Yeah, and like I feel like some of the stuff they're deeming, like, Nintendo's like, oh, this is like too small for us to talk about, but it really isn't. Right,
or like, oh, regular people don't need to know about that.
But they let them choose.
If it's a feature that somebody's going to be using, it kind of is.
And also just put the onus on the customer.
They'll decide when to stop reading.
They will decide what is interesting for them to learn about and what isn't. But you have to be, as the creators of this thing, you're responsible for giving them all the information for them to parse through.
Yeah. So I remember this. I mean, this is more than 10 years ago at this point. But when we were doing the Wii U and we were getting ready to send them out to media and we were writing the embargo.
Oh yeah, the embargo.
I remember asking to Japan. I was like, so what, what guidelines should we put around any of the system features, any of the UI, any of the stuff that's baked into the front end? And they were like, who cares about that?
Yeah, that's true.
Why would anybody care about that?
Or like, you're sending a new console out to people. Are you kidding me?
It's a big part of a new console experience, and honestly, that was something that was kind of an issue with the Wii U. So maybe they should have paid a little bit more attention to that.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just a matter of them not grasping the great interest around all of these things.
But they talked about it.
We're 10 years later, though.
They also talked about some of these things to a degree in those directs.
Yeah, and in the Ask the Developer.
Yeah, so obviously there is some interest from themselves.
Sure.
And they're putting those things.
Somebody made that.
Somebody made that, and they thought it would be interesting to somebody. And if it's a feature.
Keep asking those developers.
Sure. Ask anyone.
Yeah, but just an easy, all-in-one place. You don't even need. This is facts. Like this is the no spin zone. Like we don't need to truth serum anybody.
Like it's just straight up facts.
Here is how a game key card works. Blah blah blah. Like it just is what it is.
Yeah.
Is the DLC included? Yes or no? It's a yes or no question.
It is a yes or no question.
We just need to know.
Yeah, these are not complex things.
Right.
You don't need to do anything except for just factually
write the information down. This is as easy as somebody
somewhere.
just compiling all the information. Which, yes, that's a big job, but somebody can definitely do this.
They have it all.
And this is an important thing because you're addressing an issue.
They also have it all already. They just need to collate the information.
Right. Next.
Related to this.
Related to this. So we talked about what happens when people don't have the information. This is how misinformation spreads.
Yes.
And a lot of misinformation has been spreading because of the number one thing that we were just talking about. So things like Mario Kart is $90, that like things like that have just been allowed to linger out into the ether for so long.
Yeah.
To an extent that's kind of mind-boggling to me.
Right.
Why is this still out there unaddressed?
Right.
In a very upfront way. So if I was in my old job as the head of social, I would say we are going to have a zero misinformation policy. If we see something out there that's wrong that people are catching on to, we're going to be putting out the correct information.
Immediately.
Yes, in a very prominent way.
Yeah.
Mario Kart World is $80.
Yeah. Digital and physical.
Yeah, yes. As clearly as we possibly can. And it's not in a way that we're not dunking on the people who are saying this. It's like, no, this is the information.
This is just the facts.
These are the facts that you need to know.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's mind-boggling to me. Like
this piece of it
the length to which some of these things have just been out there. Like there are probably still people out there who think Mario Kart's $90.
Yeah, yeah. It's so true. It's so true. And, you know, nowadays misinformation can spread so quickly as well. And once you kind of have some kind of misinformation out there, it's so hard to stem it, you know, and it's so hard to like correct people once this thing is out there and caught on. So they, you know, it is really interesting how they've let this kind of fester for so long, especially because they have so many avenues to correct it.
Yeah.
You know, they have all of their social channels, they can do it on their website, they can do it in their Nintendo Today app, they can do it in so many places that it's really kind of a mind-blowing thing that they have not done it at all. But I think, you know, again, this is one of those things where like even the smallest bit of inconsistency, even if you think it's like no one cares about this, is too small. I think it's not too small. I think nothing is too small at this point for them to kind of make sure everyone has the facts, because there has been so much confusion and just so much sort of bad communication around this launch since April 2nd.
Yeah. And it's mind-boggling because we know the voluminous reports that are being generated. And I'm sure at many of these reports, people are confused. People think Mario Kart World is $90. How come nothing was done with that information? What is the point of getting endless reports if you're not going to do anything with it? I don't understand.
Yeah. There have been like really serious communication like gaffes, I think, for this launch. Like I feel like this is the thing that's been the actual problem. Like the system itself, the games, the actual like meat.
People like that
of the thing that you're selling them. Like people like that. People like are excited to pre-order. Mm-hmm. People like the Mario Kart. People like Donkey Kong. People like it. People like the system. They're like bought into it. But the way that the communication has happened around it has been honestly like a distraction and a detriment to what is actually, you know, what's actually being shown. And it's really confusing to me. Like, I think you were saying recently that you've noticed some changes to Nintendo's social channels. And as once the head of that department, I guess you would know. But, you know, it really does seem like they're using their social channels less and less to do things like correct misinformation, which was a huge part of what the social channels function was when you were heading them up. I remember like at any given time, like the social team was always ready to put out a post or do something to correct anything or you know, clarify a message. But nowadays, they're just really posting like the most sort of bland kind of game updates, game information, you know, a picture of a cow from Mario Kart.
I think an example where we were doing that, I don't remember all the details, but it was when Bayonetta came out on the Switch, and it was like one was on a card, and I think one was on a printed like DLC code, and there was something wrong with some batch of that run.
That's right.
Where like, I don't know, the codes were, I don't remember the exact details, but there was something wrong with it. And this was caught at like a Friday at noon. And by Friday 2 or 3 o'clock, like we had figured it out, we had found all the information, we'd formulated the plan, went up to Reggie approved it, like we got the post out clarifying it on a Friday. Like some people are checked out on a Friday.
Yeah, this was like, you did it in like 2 hours.
We got that done. So it's not like this impossible thing to do.
Even easier, they're sitting in the same office now.
You don't need to ask Doug Bowser, hey, is Mario Kart $90, Doug Bowser?
And like, we had a harder time because we were in a remote office. Yeah. Reggie was in Redmond, so you had to find somebody in Redmond to track him down. They can just walk over to Doug Bowser's desk, knock on the door, and be like, hey, can we put this out?
But it's true. It's true. Like we noticed that when the new pre-order time was revealed, like that information never went on their social channels. And seems like something that people who are very eager to pre-order a system would like to know. Seems like a good information. Hey, here's how you can get a Switch 2.
Yeah.
And I saw people say like, well, that's for the retailers to put out. You can't do that. But
That's not
they had
true.
it. They had basically a press release posted to their website. GameStop posted a message from Nintendo.
Right.
I was like, what? Working backwards, like, how did this happen? They probably said, hey, Nintendo, we'll retweet your post. We're not posting anything. Oh, I guess we'll frame this weird message from Nintendo on our channel because...
Yeah, and they added it was like from Nintendo and GameStop. It had both company logos on it.
It was very strange when you kind of looked closely at that. And it's just, they seem to just be posting like fun little game stuff.
Like little memes and stuff.
The endless drip of Donkey Kong Country HD.
Yeah, how many more cows can we...
Stuff.
I love that. I love that cow. I love the cow. Right. Don't get me wrong.
And like that, and that is fine. That is something that people like to get on social media. But like, there's so much more you can do, and right now there's important things you can do with those channels. There's not happening. Right.
Exactly. Like you have 14. How many millions of subscribers?
14 million people on Twitter.
14 million people on Twitter, and of course across all their.
Right. We would always talk about the Nintendo's social universe, and it was like 70 million people or something. Yeah,
like almost 100 million people.
And that was just for Nintendo of America.
Right. Yeah. And whether or not, we can debate the validity of these channels in terms of the people that own it, but that is a place where a lot of people are getting the latest news directly from your company. And for them to kind of miss out on using that as a way to clarify all of this misinformation or simply give people updates on any new information is really baffling to me.
I love visiting corporate websites in the year 2025. I visit my favorite company's websites daily.
But you know what? You can 100% put it on your news app too. I would accept.
You have a news app, yes.
I would accept that. If you
were we need people to be able to spot a silhouette of Luigi.
I thought it was Mario.
Well, I got Mario, you got Luigi.
And then somebody got Mario twice in a week and was like, I had a second chance of guessing this, which was also hilarious.
You're going to keep getting it until you guess.
I don't want to guess. But yeah, like if they were like, no, we don't want to use social anymore because of whatever reason, fine.
Because of what?
Whatever reason they come up with.
Because of what?
Whatever reason they come up with, it's fine. They we don't control this thing. Fine, whatever. You do control Nintendo today. And that was... in its sort of, in the way that it was described to us by Mr. Miyamoto, a way for Nintendo to get news directly to us. Why would you not have something on there for any of this stuff that has been sort of a thorn in people's sides and frankly, on Nintendo's side as a source
of... Toxic positivity?
Toxic positivity. The cow is now a representation of toxic positivity.
Good vibes only?
Good cow vibes only.
I don't know.
Love the cow.
I don't know. But again, this is such a simple thing that just get on it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Next. This is a big opportunity here.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been doing these hands-on events around the world.
Yeah, they seem to be great.
I have not seen a single negative impression from anybody that attended these events.
Totally.
They seem to be super well run, which we expect from the events team, which is world class. People just come away so excited. All of the concern, like of the price, of the whatever, like,
just fades away.
Melts away from these people who are at these events. So I would be saying, we've got to find a way to get this thing in more people's hands because that is the magic moment where everything clicks. It's like, I don't care that it's 450. I don't care. I'm just having a great time with this, and now I'm focused on that.
Yeah.
And that's what they should be getting people closer to every day.
Yeah, yeah. And they know this. They know that the magic of Nintendo is when you can hold it in your hands and
this is why women with 3DS chained to their bodies walked out at the end of the press conference.
Exactly. This is why, whenever Steven Totila talks about those events where we basically grab his hand and manhandle him.
Rodeoed them into the next room.
Yeah, we lassoed people into the next room and jam a controller in their hand, grasp it firmly, and force them to play it. And then they're like, "Oh, this is the best thing ever."
Yeah.
Nintendo knows this so well. This has always worked for them in terms of what way to answer any questions? Just put a system in their hand. Right. They'll play it and they'll forget everything. And it's so true. Right. This is exactly what's happening with with Switch 2. So why not like expand on these experiences?
So what we're not suggesting is, just host more of these custom events in more cities.
No.
It's too late for that. Like that took months and months to come. You got to scout the location. You just can't do it in the time that you have left. But you do have a lot of opportunities that are just out there where you can just drop these systems in and recreate something similar. So in a couple weeks in the US, we have PAX East, which when we booked, we were like, we'll probably be able to play a Switch 2 there. They're not an exhibitor.
They're not an exhibitor.
For whatever reason. And they probably think, well, our event is the place to do it. We can completely control it.
Yeah.
People can get the full experience. And I kind of get that, but at the same time, it's like,
a limited amount of people can go to it.
You can just get this thing into their hands, and people can still have a great experience at a show like a PAX. You do all these other PAXs. You love these shows.
Yeah. You have the experience to do it in a turnkey way.
Right. I think it's a trade-off that they should really look at.
If anything,
and not just because we're going and want to play it.
Sure. If anything, they should like work with any of the third-party developers that are at PAX East already and give them Switch 2s.
By the looks of things, there's not many.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any opportunities, they should take any opportunity.
Right, but it's one thing where if Nintendo approaches PAX East today and it's like, hey, I know the show's in a couple weeks, but we want a last second show up with the Switch 2. Like PAX East is making that happen.
They're definitely going to make it happen.
And they're making a big deal about it because that's like a huge get for them.
Yeah.
They also have the Nintendo New York store, and soon they will have the San Francisco store. You could be running experiences in there.
24 hours a day.
Where you have full control over those.
Yeah.
Retail, remember the E3s where it was like, now go to Best Buy and you can play Smash Brothers, you can play all these Wii U games.
People love that.
Especially when these retailers are trying to do their push for pre-orders. Like, you could totally. They would all be down to do some sort of something that will get people into a store these days.
They would love that.
Like they would be so down.
Pay you.
They would be so down.
They would literally pay Nintendo
to partner
to do that.
on something like this.
Yeah.
And then finally, we think this is something that's coming, but we wonder if maybe they could be fast-tracked a little bit more. Those kiosks, those permanent kiosks that get kind of gross.
But it is a great way for you to have that experience when you're in a Target or in a Best Buy.
And not always people who are like, I'm going to do this, but it's like, I went to go buy tissues, and now I'm playing a Switch 2.
That's how I got a 3DS or a DS.
Really?
I was at Fry's Electronics with my dad.
You were buying tissues at Fry's Electronics?
I wasn't buying tissues. My dad was buying computer parts because he was a huge computer nerd.
Yeah.
And he dragged me with him to Fry's Electronics, remember those? And I remember hearing about the DS and thinking, this is stupid. Why would anybody want a touch screen on a gaming system? Give me my Game Boy.
What?
This is dumb. And then I play Wario Touch, and I was like, this is the best thing I've ever played in my entire life. I need to buy this thing. And that's how I got a DS.
So again, I think they really want to be... They want people to have this very bespoke experience
curated,
in the event. Like we've heard, it's an hours-long experience, and that's awesome.
It's like almost theme parky.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But I think they should really look closely at what else can we do at some of these other venues where we don't have that degree of control. Like what's the best experience we can give people there to just get this into more people's hands.
And then you've already sort of had what they wanted with this very sort of custom, curated experience that they've done with these events is they want the initial wave of hands-on impressions to be a certain way. And you could argue that they got that. They got the positive hands-on coverage. They got the beautiful photos of the people playing, the faces, the fans gathering. They have all that stuff. So now, what is the second tier of that?
They do sometimes turn up their nose at this, though. I don't know if you remember this. This is another Wii U. There were a lot of things that went wrong with the Wii U. The summer before the Wii U came out, so we'd done E3, we had all these demos, we had all this stuff. We were going to Comic-Con. And we were debating, what should we put? We had a giant ballroom in a hotel.
Oh, that's right.
And we said, we were surely we will have the Wii U have a giant presence at Comic-Con. And they're like, too early.
No, too early.
Too early. Can't do it for the general public. It's like, it's July and this thing is coming out in November.
I know.
What exactly about that is too early?
That's right.
So we had a very small, cordoned off behind a curtain thing where media could come through. But
that's right, yeah.
Just let the people play the thing.
It was not too early.
Too early? Do you know what year it is?
Yeah, that's why these hands-on events happened in April.
Yeah.
Because it was only about, 2 months a month and a half away from launch. But they're very cagey about the time frame of when people can get, like general public can get their hands on stuff. And it's because they really want to control the first hands-on impressions. Like they really want to make sure that is an experience that is like as best as possible. But they already did that. They've done that. They checked that box. So now you can go wider with more of a broader experience.
Right.
Might not be completely in your control.
And I still think that if I was signed up for one of those later Nintendo events, I would not feel bad to hear like, oh, it's also at PAX East.
Why would you feel bad?
I'm about to do like the best 2.5 hours of my year versus standing in a line. To slog it out with everybody else. It's like, no, I still think I'm getting the better end of it.
And you didn't have to.
But I think those people in the PAX line would be very happy too.
Yeah,
I'm about to play a
it
Switch
wasn't like they sold you a ticket to it. It was like a lottery.
So I don't think anybody's going to be like offended.
It's not a big deal. Yeah.
Talking about being cute with stuff, they've been getting very cute with game details in the last couple years. We've noticed, often to their detriment, and we're pretty certain that this is due to their desire to have people be surprised.
Yeah.
The endless pursuit of the surprise is higher than everything.
Yeah, the spoiler-free zone.
But we came across this interesting quote from a 2023 interview with Mr. Aonuma when Tears of the Kingdom was right about to launch. And he was talking about how they were not planning to do that big video that he was in, where they were showing off like Ultra Hand and like all of the actual new features that were in that game. He's like, we didn't actually plan to do it, but we noticed that people were not really grasping the appeal of the game. It's like, no duh, because you didn't show them what was in it that was new. So he's like, so last second we scrambled to do this video, and then people seem to come around. Yeah, yeah. So like there's a perfect proof point of like how this like dogged pursuit of the surprise can like shoot you in the foot. Yeah, and we dealt with that so much when we were at Nintendo. Like we would work on these, we would call them the rollout schedule. Basically, you would have, in the 3 months leading up to a game's launch, you would reveal more and more information to the outside public about the game. And it was really hard sometimes to even get like basic information in the rollout schedule, because a lot of the feedback from the dev team was like, but if you tell them this thing, you would spoil it for them. It's like, no, this is not a spoiler. This is literally the basic gameplay mechanic that we have to describe to people so they understand the kind of game that they're playing. Right. So again, if I'm in this boardroom, I'm saying, what else do you have on Mario Kart World? I know you just did that direct that didn't have. What else is in this game that we need to know about and that we should consider? Because I think there's more. I think there's more. And guess what? It's fake person that I'm pointing at right now. It's kind of scary. Can you not do that? If you don't do it, it's still going to leak a week before the thing comes out anyway. That's true. So you might as well do it on your terms, buddy. Yeah, it is very interesting that they kind of like, again, hyped up this Mario Kart Direct, but it was kind of a letdown for people like us that have been following like every sliver of information, watching all the Treehouse Live. So, here comes the big blowout. I'm like, great, we can finally see what the thing is, and it's like, is the P blocks? Was that it? It's the exact same thing. Is that what you were holding back on? But if there is more things that they're kind of trying to keep as a surprise for people to discover, like let's not dilly-dally with that. Let's just come out and tell them what the thing that's cool is. It's just going to leak. Like, this is just a fact. Like, somebody's going to get a system in the game a week before, and they'll be streaming it, and it's, I can't, now we're scrambling, now we got the lawyers involved, my gosh. Exactly. It's like, just do it. At least you can share the information, like, in your own, controlled by you, Right, and of course we're not saying share literally everything, but like if there's something else that's cool that is like a big part of this game, like you should probably really think hard about telling people. Exactly. And they do this often, so I have a feeling that there is like these things that are being held back. And that Aonuma interview is so telling. Where it's like, we almost didn't tell anybody about this stuff. We're going to keep it a surprise. We were so surprised that people didn't understand the features that we never told them about were cool. Or it's like that thing with the Mario game where it was like half the game that they told us about. I don't want to start about that. But also like things like, who's developing Donkey Kong? It's like, what are we doing? Like, why can we not just answer this simple question? Yeah. Like, I put that in the same category.
Yeah, we don't need to do this.
So really, like, look in the mirror. Like, are we getting too cutesy with this stuff? And are we kind of hindering, like, getting people excited about these games by the way that we trickle out this information?
Yeah, and really, like, reevaluating the sort of the guardrails around, like, what is a major, like, story spoiler level kind of thing versus this is, like, the core gameplay mechanic that we should really make sure people understand how fun it is, because that's what's going to make this game unique and different and interesting. So yeah, and we've been saying this with Metroid as well. It's like, we've been waiting like 7 years for this game, and I'm not telling you to spoil the story for me or anything like that, but like, share more about what is unique about this gameplay mechanic. You know, say more.
Yes, you can do more than open doors with your mind.
With a psychic ability. Yes.
Yes. Last thing is around this bundle with Mario Kart World that they are offering.
Yes.
Very interestingly, you can save a sweet $30 if you get the bundle.
Good deal.
Versus the base system. And I'm so intrigued by this bundle. Like, what if the only option was to get the bundle? What if that's all that there was? Get the system and the game for $500, and what if that's all there was?
Then that's all there is.
How would the perception of the price be with that? Would that help things?
I think so, because I think the problem was that everybody was pretty generally okay with the system.
Yeah.
So if you said get the Mario Kart bundle for $4.99, $500, the game is, you know, let's say they just say the game is
I mean, you're doing guesswork of like, well, what would the system have been?
What is the value of the game? What is the value of the system?
I guess it would have been about
40
something sub 450,
and then the game, maybe you would say in your head $60 for the game,
right.
$440 for the system.
Yeah, you never get the slap in the face of $80. It's like, everybody's getting this game. This is the experience you want. You don't have this debate over welcome tour. Like, I just go through that scenario because I think the scenario they've outlined is a bit strange now, where it's like, well, we have this bundle, but it's limited. And we don't know how limited it's going to be.
The limited language around it is troubling. I read that disclaimer.
I would love to know the split of like generally how many of each are going to be available.
Well, then there was, and I don't know if this is misinformation or not, so I'm going to everybody take this with a grain of salt, because I don't know where this, and no one can tell me where the source of this comes from, and I've been asking.
Then it might be made up.
I've been Nintendo, please clarify. I've been asking, like, every time I bring this up, someone tells me, like, well, I've heard that it's mainly the Mario Kart bundle. Like, 70% of the stock is the Mario Kart bundle, and 30% of the stock is the base system. And I keep asking people, where did you see this stat? What is the source of this information? And I can never find, like, the source of truth. So I don't know what people are talking about. I had my own personal reasons for wondering about this, because when I registered my interest on the My Nintendo store.
You want to give yourself the best shot.
You were saying give yourself the best shot, but I had registered for the bundle, and then you told me that maybe the bundle is very limited. Well, because I just shot myself in the foot.
Again, the question is like, well, why wouldn't you get that if that's an option? Who's paying $80 for Mario Kart if you can just get it for $50? The answer is me. I am the idiot, because I am getting the bundle. I want to get the system on its own, and I want to get the physical version.
Well, there are people like that.
So the joke is on me.
There are people like that, though. So it's that is why there's two different systems. One, the bundle with a digital Mario Kart World, and one that's the base system, where the people that want to get the physical version can get the physical version. But then,
anyway, our proposal to the boardroom, sir, is,
or ma'am,
just make this bundle with Mario Kart World an ongoing bundle.
Yeah.
To be like, we are going to support this well into the future. Both of these versions will be available in whatever quantities. Ongoing quantities will be available.
Yeah, they'll both be available.
Yes,
is the message.
Yes, we're not taking it away when it sells out. There's not some made up date where we're going to stop selling it. They're just ongoing basis. They are available.
It's not like the Mario anniversary game where they just decided to stop selling it for no reason at all.
Because then that's all. You're upset that it's $80? Then get the version where it's $50.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's the best thing they can do to address the hurt feelings over $80. It's not physical, but 30
There's
bucks?
an option.
$30 talks.
There's an option for
Yes.
you, right? If you wanted to. That's why I wasn't that mad about $80 because I was always going to get the bundle. And so for me, it's $50. And also, I don't like physical games really, and I prefer my games to be digital. So for me, it was fine. But I totally get the people that are like, wait a second, if I want to have physical, like this is really expensive for me. So and then of course the bundle has that messaging where it's like very limited quantities.
Read the fine print.
Only available through September.
Oh, is that what it said?
That's what it said. I had posted that fine print in like in multiple places because I was like, can someone tell me what this means? And also, I mean, I get that they're trying to do maybe some stuff around Black Friday.
Right. So the counter to this, the counter to not doing this would be like, well, we were going to have it go away early in the fall, and it was going to come back as some Black Friday thing. And honestly, at this point, they're probably not giving you any discount at all. But it's like it's back.
Yeah.
So you're saving $30
again
inherently because we took it away and we're bringing it back.
Right.
But I don't know. I think it's a conversation that they should have of like, you know, Black Friday, like it's still going to be a hot item for the holidays. Like, how much more incentive do you need to give people?
And you can also work with the retailers for them to do their own like soft bundling.
Oh, that's already started.
You know what I mean? Like if you are looking for like that like Black Friday message.
Are you ready to pay $600 for two Switch 2 wheels
yes.
with your Mario Kart bundle?
You get a camera, you get the Mario Kart bundle, you get the wheels for $600. Yeah, perfect. But like...
That's leverage.
That is
leverage.
That is what we call leverage.
What are you going to do?
What are you
Not
do?
buy it?
You're going to buy it.
Loser.
Oh.
I'm the loser. I'm going to buy it.
You're going to buy the wheel?
If I have to.
Really?
I mean, if that's my only choice is one of those bundles.
Oh,
one of those
because you didn't get one?
Jank bundles. I was like, I guess I'll buy it.
I hope you don't have to buy the wheel.
I would rather not. I would rather not, but
a waste of money.
Yes.
But yeah, like they could get their Black Friday marketing in some other way and just make the Mario Kart bundle just an ongoing thing. And yeah, like if you let's say the pre-orders sell out super quick, and you never got a chance to get it, and you're like, I cannot afford to buy this right now, and I don't want to pay $80 for Mario Kart. I'm just gonna wait until the stock is back and buy the bundle when it's available. If that was an option out there, I think people would be pretty happy about that. Yeah. At least there's an option versus it being like, too bad, so sad, pay $80, you know?
Yeah. I would just be a little less worried about playing the Black Friday game in your first holiday, where it's like, the cool factor of the thing should be enough to get people to buy it.
Yeah.
So I think that's the counter to that argument of like, oh, but our Black Friday plans.
It's all about, I feel like it's more so about like the ongoing foundation that you're setting up in the first year of the system as well. Like that's the thing that is really going to be telling is after the sort of the dust settles on the pre-order frenzy, the launch in June, the first holiday for Switch 2, like, does it have longevity? That's when you can tell, like, if it's going to be successful. So I feel like they should do everything they can to, like, build a foundation for longevity versus doing anything else, for things like Black Friday or whatever.
But Krysta, I've scheduled weekly Black Friday check-ins with the retail team starting April 1st. What are we going to talk about for all those weeks until Black Friday actually happens?
You can tell Walmart Canada not to leak anything.
Oh, Walmart Canada.
Always a problem.
So those are the 5 things that we think they should be taking a hard look at in the time that they've got left before this thing comes out. We asked the same question to our Patreon subscribers and got some interesting responses. Let's see what they had to say. Khalif Lego Creates says, I think Nintendo should address all the misinformation regarding the Switch 2 and pricing so the Switch 2 would be successful and people would understand that it's not from greed, but from the current global events due to tariffs, and people would actually understand why and address that the games besides Mario Kart World are not $80 a piece. Mm-hmm. That'd be good to know.
Yes.
The T-Man says, keep promoting their upcoming titles with something new to learn. Even though the Mario Kart World Direct was intended for a new audience with basically an overview of what Nintendo fan knows already, There are plenty to look forward to with the Switch 2. Despite the increased price points with the accessories, Nintendo's audience will simmer down in time. It would be nice to see the Switch 2 be showcased at events in May with their demos and features to promote what the Switch 2 has to offer. I wouldn't worry about anyone who complains about drop the price. And then Sylph Limited says, I believe they absolutely need to work on consistent communication right now. There have been several important questions asked to different Nintendo support reps in different countries about things like what's on a Switch 2 edition game card, and there have been different conflicting official answers. Even more than pricing, I think an overall sense of uncertainty has been plaguing emotions about Switch 2 since the reveal, and aside from things outside their control, Nintendo needs to do whatever they can to remedy that as soon as possible.
Yes.
And then finally, Citadel Brûlée has the solution of all solutions. Now would be a great time to drop themes and folders.
That will fix everything.
Problem solved.
Problem solved.
Why didn't we think of that?
Yes, we could have done that. We could have and should have done that. Oh, man. Amazing stuff.
Yes. Let's move on to the games we are playing. I was out of town for a good chunk of last week, but you got to do a cool thing and head up to Capcom headquarters.
Yes, once again invited to Capcom to talk to the director of Onimusha 2.
Wow!
The remake is coming out.
Yes.
And I got to talk to the director, Motohide Ishiro, and he actually directed the first game.
Okay.
And was really excited to come back and direct the remake. And I got to sit down and just chat with him about the game. And like it's been really interesting because he was saying that, he had been, working as a producer for a good chunk of time, but he was specifically very excited to be the director again on this game because it just gave him an opportunity to get really in the weeds and stuff like that. And yeah, this is a game that I played a little bit back in the day, but I'm excited to go back to it. You said that you've kind of not really played a lot of
it was a
Onimusha?
series that I missed out on.
Yeah.
And every time it was I've got, $30 to spend on a game. Onimusha was always there. There was always some greatest hits version available or some used version at a very reasonable price. But I would look at it I don't know. And I would move on to something else. But now I'm kind of kicking myself because the more I've been looking into it because they have a new Onimusha game coming too.
Yes.
I was like, maybe this looks kind of cool. Maybe I should get
really
into this.
cool.
I don't know. So I feel like I missed out.
It's got the signature Capcom actions, really tight action combos, that kind of stuff. It has a combo of both sort of the sword and that kind of physical action, but also magic, which I really like because it's this cool mix of both. The director was talking a lot about how the game was really pretty perfect in his opinion when it came out. So it was really, the remaster was really about retaining all of the good DNA of the game, but making a lot of quality of life changes to make it feel modern. They also did some crazy things where they basically had to redo the entire game on the RE engine.
Oh.
And he said that it was pretty challenging to basically redo the whole thing, but they did it, and it now runs perfectly, beautifully on the RE engine, which is really, really great. And so it should just give you a hint at how the game's going to play really well and stuff like that. But yeah, it is a really interesting. I feel like there's a lot of games out there kind of around the similar time period of Japan as well, because we've been playing a lot of
Did you ask him that question?
I did, about sort of why is this era of Japanese history so interesting? We talked a lot about Nobunaga Oda.
Yeah, that was the person in particular I was curious about.
Which has been such a central figure in so many games, TV shows, movies.
He's always there.
He's always there. I was talking to him about him, and he was saying the reason why there's so much interest around Oda as a character is that he's a very complex character in real life. He is can be seen as a hero to some, but as the ultimate villain to others. And in Onimusha, they sort of made him into a villain character. and made him very imposing in that way, like really tapping into like that side of his character. But because he's like a very complex character, it's like hard to read it either way. Like even though he's like a villain, you're like, well, there's some good qualities too. Like he can be seen as a hero as well.
Yeah, I wonder what what do they teach about him in schools in Japan? Because that does seem to be just like the unanimous depiction of it. And even in like the new Assassin's Creed, like it's that same thing where you think he's the bad guy and then you find out, well, maybe he's not so bad. Maybe he's not, but he's also got some questionable qualities. Just a very interesting. And I think that kind of historical aspect of it is like what's drawing me back to this series. And maybe I missed the extent to which it was in these games when I looked at them the first time around.
Yeah. And that's what I really gleaned from him as well, is that like there's this kind of like complexity in that in that character that was really easy to translate into something in a game. But the other thing that's really interesting about Onimusha is that like it has like the historical part of feudal Japan and all that stuff, but it also has like these like fantastical elements as well. And we were talking about like, oh, how do you like balance that? How do you make it feel like these two can exist side by side without it being like, well, now you made this. Are you making historical fiction or are you making a fantasy game? And they were saying like how they really thought about it is they were putting themselves into the events of that historical event and thinking like, well, could something fantastical have caused this? Like, could like a yokai have like infiltrated the thoughts of this historical figure and like possessed him to do these things that play out in real life and history. So they're sort of using the fantastical as like a motivator, I guess, in the storytelling. So I was pretty clever. Yeah. It's like, okay, this still is like rooted in like history and in like sort of the realism of it, but you are kind of looking at it from like what is the source of this, and that source from their perspective is more of like a fun fantasy angle. So yeah, very cool.
You recorded this interview, right?
I did. We're gonna put this out.
We'll be getting that out soon.
But it was really nice speaking with him, and yeah, I'm really excited to go back to this game. So yeah.
Have you finished the blueprints?
No.
We need an update on the blueprints. Game of the year.
Really good progress.
Is this your game of the year now?
It's so good.
Oh.
It is such a good game. And every time I think I've hit sort of the end, I'm like, oh, this is it. I just don't know how to move forward. I somehow find a way to move forward. So there might be some spoilers. So if you don't want to listen to this part, then please leave for 5 minutes. But basically, as you map the rooms, you're getting more and more hints that you can kind of take away. So, like, I've been taking, like, 1,000,000 screenshots, for example.
What is the state of your notebook?
Well, it's not a notebook because I just take screenshots.
You don't have the pen and paper notebook?
I don't have the pen and paper.
What?
Because I have screenshots. And I can just look on my phone.
That seems like something you would love to do.
In my PlayStation app and just have the screenshots, which is more helpful to me.
You don't need a note to self?
No, I just
don't forget to do this.
No, I don't need that. But that is a cool part about the game is things that you find in different runs, because you're mapping this house like over and over again because you're gonna get stuck over and over again. But every single time it does have that like roguelike progression where you are learning some new information. So I did make a major breakthrough where I have found something. I'm trying to be like kind of cagey about it. I found something that was a big deal that basically resulted in me getting a permanent room on my blueprint. So now every time...
And you usually don't have that?
No.
Every room is...
Well, every time you...
Can be redone.
Every time you restart, the blueprint's completely
But now
blank.
You have one.
I have one room.
Are there more like that, do you think?
I don't know.
Oh.
But I have also like found a way into the depths of that room. Like I figured out...
Like a basement?
It's like a kind of, yeah. There is like another puzzle in another room that relates to the room that I got.
Oh.
That I figured out. I was so proud of myself. It was like a very complicated like steam. It's like the boiler room. So you had to like manipulate the steam and then turn these. No.
Oh wow.
things, that the doors are closing and opening. And then I figured it out, and then I went down there, and some things happened. So
Okay.
that was very exciting. The game also has like several safes, and you need to find a way to open those safes. And there's like different codes and stuff, and I've been like trying to gather the codes. I think I've gotten like 2 out of the 3. So I have been making some good progress, but I have not solved it yet.
Okay.
It's good though. It's
I'm
really
feeling like
fun.
maybe I should, because this is on Game Pass, and
Yes.
And since I actually use my Game Pass, unlike you, maybe I should just get this and just see how quickly I nope out of it, because I am curious, like,
It's a beautiful game.
the idea of like the roguelike, like you putting rooms into this, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how down I am for all of the super brain busting puzzles and stuff, but I do just want to get a better handle on like the mechanics of it all.
Very, very fun, like base mechanics, but there are so many layers to it.
Yeah.
And the game is just really beautiful. It's like very cinematic, the way the camera, like even in the beginning as you like go into the house, they have like really beautiful like cinematography in this game, which I was like, well, it's really nice for this very like sort of simple puzzle game. Like there's a lot of really beautiful kind of, art and stuff like that they've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, from highbrow to lowbrow, I've been playing the RoboCop game. But you know what? It's not. RoboCop is highbrow too. I take that back.
I like RoboCop.
You made me say that.
Jean-Claude Van Damme?
No.
Oh, that's Time Cop.
That's Time Cop, and that has him doing the splits in European underwear. So that's a little bit of a different thing versus a robot man who's been shot to pieces.
I really like Time Cop.
Time Cop. That's
Time
the one I
Cop,
like.
the game should be a
That's the one I like.
I really like
it. Think of the costumes you could put Van Damme in.
Oh.
It's very handsome. My gosh.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So this game is RoboCop Rogue City, and this is a game that came out last year. And I think when this first came out, people were like, oh, this is shovelware, this is junk. But I started to hear from some people whose opinions I trust. They're like, oh, this is actually kind of good.
Oh.
So I was like, all right, this is on my radar. And I kept waiting for like a big sale, and it's actually this month, one of the PlayStation Plus games at just the basic level.
Oh, cool.
So it's a free game. So I was like, yes, now's my chance to finally check it out. And that night that you were unavailable for Split Fiction, I was like, this is the night for RoboCop. This is finally it.
So what I have is that I leave you to your own devices?
RoboCop.
Okay.
And this game is cool. Like, this game is great. So it's a first-person shooter where you play as RoboCop. I don't know if people have seen this movie. It's like I forget.
It's like a campy
It's either late 80s or early 90s.
Yeah, exactly.
It gets lumped in with one of that genre of action movies, but it is a bit more like thoughtful than those, where it's very satirical. It takes place in Detroit, but kind of a futuristic version of Detroit, where it's like really like decrepit and run down and like grimy, crime infested.
Dystopian Detroit.
Right, and in the movie you play as this guy who's just a normal policeman. He gets gunned down and they turn him into RoboCop, but he still kind of has these like flashbacks, memories of like, oh wait, I was a person, I had a family, but now I'm like this weird robot. And like, he didn't know what happened. So that's kind of like early on in the story, like you've been malfunctioning because you've been like having these flashbacks to your old life,
your old
and they're
human
like,
existence.
we need to fix you, and it's like the evil corporation is like, well, who cares about this?
This is our future.
You're just a
with
machine.
AI.
You're just a machine. We don't care about your human side, whatever. But you're going out and you're doing missions, and it's not open world, but some of the environments that they put you in, like they're pretty big.
Okay.
And like the shooting is really good. It feels good, but there is a lot of like detective-y kind of things you need to do too, of like, you've got like you're scanning things and getting clues.
Is it like Samus? Like a little Metroid Prime?
Like a very, very basic version of that. But you do scan things. You have a visor, you're scanning things.
I'm interested.
And you're getting information before you decide who to shoot in the face.
Okay.
So
as a robot, that's also a cop.
Yeah, that's like, if you've seen the movies, like they do a good job of depicting like, oh yeah, that's the police station and they got the characters, like whoever was the actress.
Do you watch this movie?
RoboCop?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And now you said that you had, but now I'm wondering if you actually did.
I don't think I have.
I
think it's Time Cop.
It's time for you to watch RoboCop.
Uh-oh.
It is time. But yeah, if you've seen the movies, you're going to get more out of it. But like on its own, like it's a pretty like cool game. So it's just cool that something that would seem like random licensed junk is actually like pretty pretty good.
Yeah.
I have also seen this on Steam sales
recently
for pretty cheap, so I think it's at that time where
you can pick it up.
If you look around,
check it out.
But if you have PlayStation, like you should
just check it out.
Grab it this month if you're interested.
Wow.
I haven't grabbed one of those PlayStation Plus games in a while. Like I've been kind of down on.
They have not had a good selection.
They haven't had a great one, but I was like, oh, yes, RoboCop, I'm in.
Okay. Are you gonna play Elder Scrolls? Got Shadow Drop today.
We're going to talk about that in the news. We have that in the news. We will talk more about that. Our plans for that. Oh, and what do you know? It's time for the news.
I'm so excited.
Great. Before we get to Elder Scrolls, Paul Rudd, as we said, has been revealed as Nintendo's Switch 2 celebrity spokesperson.
Yes.
And they did it in an interesting way where they have the new commercial with him as kind of a throwback to the Super Nintendo commercial that he was in before he got really famous. He was kind of like,
he was a lad.
He was kind of an extra. So they've been able to do all these kind of comparisons of how it started versus how it's going. I was out. Wow. I think I was like I was at a grocery store and I got the notification. I was like, why did they just repost the Super Nintendo commercial? And then they posted the one right after that.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. They're doing this throwback kind of thing.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Paul Rudd does not age. People are saying that. Like, he is like a perpetual...
That's the thing about him.
Yeah. Look at the two comparisons.
He looks good.
If you look at him really closely now, like, yes, he does.
Just let this man be.
But he's just like, this is what it's like.
I feel bad for him now that anytime anything was like, we're looking I see a wrinkle.
I know. It's like everyone's going to get old. This is the human experience, guys. It's okay. We're all aging gracefully.
Yes.
It's not a big deal. Paul Rudd is also aging gracefully.
Thoughts on this ad and the selection of him as this celebrity spokesperson. So we obviously we've done that. We talked about John Cena being a celebrity spokesperson.
Yes.
I think we've also talked on and off about how Brie Larson got chosen to become later on a celebrity spokesperson.
Yep.
I very briefly, and I could not wait to hand it off to somebody else, oversaw the celebrity team.
Yes.
Hot potato that thing.
Yeah. The celebrity team was sort of an interesting job because you do have these kinds of instances where you are launching a new console and you do need you want
star power.
You want some star power.
Yes.
You need Ant-Man. But other times, Nintendo was kind of very kind of touch and go with celebrity stuff. They for a big brand like Nintendo, they really didn't work with too many, big A-list celebrities really that often. Nintendo always looks at celebrities from a perspective of do they have some sort of authentic connection to Nintendo? Do they actually know anything about Nintendo? Do they play games, whatever? And from that perspective, it is a good choice for them to have Paul Rudd because obviously he was in this commercial. He definitely seems. I watched that interview with IGN. He definitely seems like he likes and knows about Nintendo and plays games.
Yeah, I think he's an awesome choice as the celebrity spokesperson because he ticks all those boxes of clearly loves Nintendo, has this fun little anecdote that links him to the past. Seems to be well liked by all generations. He's in Marvel, so he's got that kind of broad visibility. It's really
Phoebe's husband and friends.
Okay, didn't know that. It's very hard to lock these people down because you can find the perfect person who is interested, but it's
their schedule is
I'm on a shoot for the next month. I think you just have to start over. So I'm so curious of who else was on their short list because you usually have 3 or 5 people. It's okay, this is the one, but we'd be pretty okay with any others, of these, and we might negotiate the deal a little bit more.
Yeah, and the contracting process for this is such a nightmare.
It's a disaster.
So they've been probably working on this for 8 months.
But I think this is a great fit.
No, I agree. I think this is a really good fit.
The commercial itself, though.
The commercial itself was interesting. I feel it is kind of that cheesy throwback kind of comparison because they basically kind of frame by frame mimicked the original SNES commercial. I was an SNES kid, so I was do I remember this old commercial? I don't feel like I do.
It's a pretty deep cut.
Yeah. And I grew up in the SNES
especially
era.
since he did this when he was more of an unknown.
Yeah. Yes.
I think when you're doing it like this, when you're doing a side by side, it's like, oh yeah, I remember that. That's cool. But I think in a commercial where like your number one goal is communicate the Switch 2, this is maybe one thing too many to layer on of like, oh, and it's also this throwback to this other thing that maybe you remember or maybe you don't. Because otherwise you're like, why is he dressed like this? Or how does he have a wig on? Like what's going on?
Why is he wearing a beaded necklace?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I thought that it was like a funny thing for them to do. Like it's like a cute, funny thing to do. But again, if your goal is to really communicate what is interesting and unique about Switch 2, this like cute, funny thing can also be a bit of a distraction.
Especially when these like big budget ads that you put a ton of money into, they are like mass audience oriented.
Right.
Where it's like these people are probably not understanding the connection, and it's such a big investment. With these ads, like I have no doubt the Switch 2 marketing budget overall is insane, but the percentage of that goes into advertising is
a huge percentage.
It's most of it, honestly.
Yeah,
and they're just getting started. Like they're just getting started with this.
Exactly. Yeah, the mass audience part of it is really interesting for them to make this choice, because I also think like the Switch 1 audience is probably a bit younger. And if they're trying to appeal to that like really broad Switch 1 audience, like what percentage of those people, I don't know the answer to this, I'm just curious, like what percentage of those people would have remembered an SNES commercial and would have like clicked into that throwback and was like, oh yeah, I totally get what you guys are doing, like this totally speaks to me. Like what percentage of the Switch 1 audience would have that reaction? Like I'm curious the research behind that, because that is what they do to come up with these ads, is they look at all the, they do like what is it called? Like a media marketing, like research, whatever. That's the official term, by the way. And they kind of figure out like, how do you reach your target audience? Like what is your media mix or whatever this is why I need Monica to help us dissect
What is your point here?
My point is that how do they come up, what is the data that backs up that this type of commercial appeals to
doing
the broadest,
throwback?
Yeah, doing a throwback to a commercial from 30 years ago is appealing to the broadest.
Because you can't just say, well, wouldn't it be cool?
Switch 1 audience.
Wouldn't it be cool if we did this?
Because the strategy is not, wouldn't that be fun?
Sick,
to spend,
bro.
Millions
and millions of dollars.
and millions on something. You cannot hinge your strategy on wouldn't that be fun?
Right.
So yeah, I am curious about sort of the conversations around that, because this is a bit of a deeper cut. The other thing where, this is just a personal thing, but I was like, if you're gonna do this where you tie it back to SNES so much, like in this like mass audience kind of way, just name it Super Switch.
They said why. They said why they couldn't do it.
The reason for the why was so silly. Because they didn't have backwards compatibility.
It is interesting that they found themselves going in different directions. Where like, we couldn't name it this, but we're doing this throwback because of this.
Right. It's like a little bit of an opposing message.
Right.
But yeah, it kind of like, it was like, oh, like in my mind, the symmetry would have been so, like the marketing symmetry would be so beautiful, right? If you had, oh man, I'm going to name it Super Switch.
Yeah, if that was more of a big thematic in the messaging as well, it's like that same thing that we did with the Super Nintendo, we're doing it with the Super Switch.
Yeah,
it would make more sense.
And especially because they have been out there saying like the jump from NES to SNES, the Switch to Switch 2 jump is like bigger and better.
Yeah.
Like we're just trying to make the system better and more powerful. And if they had just named it Super Switch and then did this commercial, and then I'd be like, I'm so in, I get it. The marketing is so brilliantly done. Like, what a beautiful, like, you've really figured out the messaging in this beautiful, simplistic way of how to describe this new system. You have this really great sort of nostalgic.
Got those elder millennials covered.
They have got it covered. I don't care how much your game costs, I'm definitely going to buy it.
This extended version of this, though, was it was basically him with some friends playing Mario Kart over game chat. And again, game chat is very prominently featured.
Yeah, very interesting that Mario Kart and game chat are kind of the two messages that they're using to sort of like sell Switch 2 in terms of like, we always talk about in marketing terms, what is the unique product proposition? And it's very clear that Nintendo's unique product proposition for Switch 2 is game chat and Mario Kart, at launch at least, right? And yeah, I'm still not personally like sold really on game chat because it doesn't seem to be unique enough from other solutions out there. But they were really into it, and they made a whole commercial that cost millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars with Paul Rudd around game chat. So they're in. They're in.
Do you think they'll have more celebrity spokespeople?
I could see them adding like another kind of Brie Larson type.
Do you think Europe will have one? Do you think some other region?
Maybe, yeah. I can see that. I could definitely see that. And even like more game-specific ones too. Like if and when they announce the next big 3D Mario game, they might have some other spokesperson. Oh gosh, Jack Black is coming back, isn't he?
No, we're just going to keep getting Avengers. That's what we're going to
keep getting Avengers.
Yes.
Oh, more Avengers.
All the Chris's are coming in next, yes.
Oh, they're hot, so yes, I'd buy from them. ScarJo, get ScarJo
get them all,
in there.
Get them all.
Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I do wonder if there's any kind of crossover that's going to happen between the next 3D Mario game and the cast of the Mario movie, though. That would be kind of interesting.
Oh, okay. You know who's a Chris? Chris Pratt.
There you go.
There you go.
Got a lot of Chris's and a lot of Pauls.
Next story is not really good news, but it looks like the price of amiibo is going up.
Yeah.
Wario 64 caught this first, but some of the new amiibo have they've adjusted the prices to go up by $10.
Ooh, these are getting expensive.
So these new Street Fighter amiibo, which were $30 to begin with, that's pretty steep for an amiibo.
Yeah,
those are now $40. And then the new Zelda amiibo were $20, and they are now $30.
That's expensive.
That kind of puts those into a range of me thinking twice about some of these.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
$40. $20 was probably my limit.
$20 seemed okay for that. Like it's like a cute little physical thing that you can have. It does a thing in the game. Like $20 seems like reasonable. $40 really does seem pretty steep for them.
Yeah, this seems like something. I saw some people say like, oh, this is very clearly a tariff-related thing, and of all the categories of things that are going to get hard by that, like little plastic doodads,
toys and stuff
are going to get it. What's interesting is in the Wario 64 listing, there are some older amiibo that have a normal price. So you see like the Waluigi still says $15.99.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's because they already have that in stock.
Probably.
But when that stock runs out and they make more, they need to restock Waluigi. I would imagine that would go up some amount.
You should pay no money for Waluigi.
As well. The price should go down on Waluigi.
Negative. Somebody should pay you to get a Waluigi.
$40 amiibo. That is a tough pill. Kimberly, Luke, James.
That's a tough one. That's a tough. But the Zelda ones too, $30 for the Zelda amiibo.
That probably puts those into the no category for me, unfortunately.
But Tulin.
As you can get Tulin. I don't like.
I love Tulin. No. $30 though. I don't love him. I don't love him that much.
This next thing is something that would be perfect to put into the Switch 2 Mega FAQ.
Yes, this is so confusing. I'm still confused.
We're going to go through this. I admit I am still confused by the details.
Yes,
so
me too.
Leave a comment if you've got it figured out,
together.
if there's something that we're missing. So, Marvelous, the publisher, has a game called Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma. Mm-hmm. The Switch 2 version of that game that you can buy will be. I'm just gonna read from their explanation. The Nintendo Switch 2 edition is a red 64GB game card that includes in full the Nintendo Switch game and the upgrade pack. There's no need to download the full game. Simply insert the card into either a Nintendo Switch or Nintendo Switch 2 console, and the correct version will launch automatically.
Oh, cool.
Like most modern titles, there may be small updates or patches available at launch to provide minor fixes and improvements, but rest assured, the complete game is on the game card, ready to play from day one.
Okay.
So this kind of goes counter to some other information that had been coming out where people were going eagle-eyed saying, oh, it looks like the red Switch 2 games have the notch. Like remember the DS and 3DS had a notch. So to prevent you from stuffing your Switch 2 game into an original Switch. So I don't know, did that mean nothing? Was that notch have no functional purpose?
Was there not? Is there no notch?
Was that just a design thing? So, like, what happens if I start jamming all my mixing and matching my games? I don't know.
Well, I don't think unless your game, like this game, has a Switch 1 version of it.
But what happens?
Why don't you find out?
The game card cannot be read?
Person?
The game card cannot be read?
I guess not.
I don't know.
You break it. You break your $80 Mario Kart game by trying to jam it into a Switch 1.
I don't hate the execution for this.
This is cool.
Do they have...
Actually.
We don't have the packaging. I wonder how do you package something like that and be like, hey,
available on both.
Get it for either. Plays on both.
Like a half-half.
Like a big burst thing. Like plays on Switch 2 or Switch.
Or like put both logos on there or something.
Yeah. I don't really have... Like, whether this is a good or bad thing, I don't really have a feel on that. Maybe it's because this is a game that I wasn't interested in the first place.
Oh.
Seems like it's potentially a good thing.
I think it's a good thing.
It seems a little confusing, though.
It's a little confusing.
I put it in this as a little confusing.
But also kind of cool that it just knows which one to launch based on what system you put it in. That's kind of neat.
Right.
It's kind of neat. Is Metroid going to be like that? Metroid Prime 4 physical?
I don't want to talk about this. We can't go down this rabbit hole.
Why not?
We're moving on.
Oh.
A new game is potentially coming to the Switch too. A game we've been playing, Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Yeah.
If you snoop around on the PEGI website, which is basically the ESRB for Europe, that's the Pan-European Game Information.
Oh, yeah.
It does say Assassin's Creed Shadows, age 18 for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PC, and Nintendo Switch 2. Dun, dun, dun. The plot thickens.
Oh boy, I thought this was going to be a launch title, honestly.
What do you think of this?
I'm excited about this, although I'm like more than halfway through.
We're going to finish it on a PS5 before
PlayStation.
This comes out.
That's fine. For those people that have no PS5 or Xbox or PC and only have a Switch 2, they can play this game. It's a great game. It's really fun.
As soon as we saw the Steam Deck version, it was like, oh, they can probably do this on a Switch 2, which is surprising because the game looks really
oh my gosh,
amazing.
The game is so beautiful.
It's amazing on a PS5, but I think that Ubisoft's been very quiet on the Switch 2 when usually they're all over a launch.
Yeah.
So I think this just goes back to our question of like we're waiting. It seems like there's another wave of third-party games.
I am still banging the drum. Partner showcase in May. I think there's going to be a partner showcase in May.
Yeah, it just seems like there's another wave of games that's waiting to get announced, and I don't know if I don't, at this point, I don't think those would be on launch day. It seems like they got a lot of games for launch.
Yeah, launch day seems covered.
It seems pretty established. These are the launch games, but
like later in the year, holiday time, even into early 2026, why not? There's going to be tons more third-party games.
If you're getting stuff like this, whenever the Microsoft stuff comes,
right?
It's kind of a bummer that some of that stuff can't be day one. But yeah, if you're slotting that in from day one beyond, that's great.
I'm fine with that because that gives you enough time to play Mario Kart and Donkey Kong and then into the holidays.
Well, let's talk about it in our next story, which is the Elder Scrolls Oblivion remake.
Shadow dropped.
We're recording this on Tuesday, got revealed and released. So
I saw that thing this morning.
Now. Did you watch the live stream?
I did.
I did too.
It was good.
This was one of the rare, just true feel-good moments in gaming where I
really needed it.
I had the chat, like nobody was saying anything dumb or annoying.
Exactly.
And people are like, this is amazing, I'm so happy. I was like, wow, like we have achieved happiness in gaming.
We finally, after weeks and months of not being nonsense and also just like all of us feeling kind of like whiplashed around with certain things, it was actually lovely.
Yes.
It was wonderful to hear from the team. I was reliving my own nostalgia for Elder Scrolls in my old days of playing this game. And then you hear from the people and the devs and the teams that remade it, and you're like, I'm so happy, right? And then they shadow dropped it. I was like, this could not be better. This really could not be better.
They clearly did the right thing with this game because. Yeah, I mean, for so many people, like this was one of those early Xbox 360 games that was like a true next-gen experience and was just very special and really beloved. And obviously, you've got Skyrim, and they've done enhanced versions of Skyrim a million times, but this is the first real big time that they're touching this game. So it's almost 20 years since it's come out.
I can't believe it's been 20 years.
But just the reaction to it of like, oh my gosh, I loved this game. I can't wait to go back to it. They seem to be making some smart little tweaks
Yeah.
along the way to make it
Good QOL stuff.
play a little bit better.
Yes.
It looks, just from the stream that they had, looks super great. So I want to be all over this, but look at the platforms. Available now on Xbox Series X and S, Game Pass, PlayStation 5, and the PC. No Switch 2.
No Switch 2.
No. Microsoft has not announced any Switch 2 games yet, although Phil Spencer was out again saying, I'd love to support the Switch 2. Then tell us!
So are you going to wait?
Because I have this conundrum. So
you want to wait
this
for
game
this.
This game is out now. Doom is coming out in 3 weeks. And I was like, I am glad to wait on these games if we had a hard date of like, okay, well, you can play this on the Switch in July. I'd be, okay, Doom, I'll wait 2 months to play it. But now I just don't know. Or if they could say like, oh, you can transfer your save.
Yeah,
your saves can transfer.
Your save would be
anything like that. So I'm kind of trapped in this like, do I or don't I? I don't know. I would love to be playing this tonight.
You have to play Split Fiction with me
Fiction.
tonight, actually. You cannot play this. You can't play this or RoboCop
No, we can't
tonight,
do anything.
for you.
RoboCop.
You cannot be playing
Oh,
it.
man. But it is $50 for the standard edition. Obviously, it's on Game Pass, so you're not paying anything if you're out there. There are some like enhanced or deluxe editions that go beyond that have a higher price. But it's got just the base game and all of kind of the big DLC packs that they put out. Famously, the horse armor. Do you remember the horse armor controversy?
Yes. Oh my God!
I mean, we've been having versions of the horse armor controversy for 20 years.
For 20 years.
It's basically the same conversation.
Did it start with this game?
That was the first one, the first big one.
Look what you've done.
Iconic. We have been talking in circles.
What you've done.
The ice cream truck is back. Can you all hear it? Well, we're nowhere near the end of this podcast.
Oh,
so
man, do you think it'll still be there?
No, it's going to be gone.
It's Tuesday again. That's why it wasn't here last week.
It sure is. So, yeah, I mean, this just seems, it's cool that this is on PS5. There's none of this like, and it'll be out in a month. Like, it's just out.
Just out.
Really big, chunky thing. This seems like a good kind of reinforcement of the whole Game Pass concept. So I was thinking about, like, is shadow dropping this the right thing to do?
I think it is.
I think when you have Game Pass and it's a game like this where people mostly know what they're getting into, and you don't need a big build up to it, you can do it. I think what you can nitpick is the date of this, though. So let's look at their schedule here. So they just put out South of Midnight 2 weeks ago. That doesn't seem like that was a huge breakout game.
Yeah.
In 3 weeks, you have Doom: The Dark Age. So you're kind of trying to
thread a needle a little bit.
But in 2 days, you have Clair Obscur, which is on Game Pass and is one of your big Game Pass gets, and is also a big RPG that people were excited for.
Yeah, that's true.
Oof.
Oops.
Oops slash oof.
Sorry, Clair Obscur.
I would be so mad if I was the Clair Obscur people.
Oh, and that game was doing really well, too.
Yes!
People were like pretty hyped.
But now you're probably losing some chunk of your audience because they're playing Oblivion that came out of nowhere 2 days earlier.
Yeah.
Next week? Wasn't it?
I guess.
I don't know.
The more you push it to the summer, the worse it gets.
Picking release dates is such an inexact science, and it's so hard to do. You do have to give them some benefit of the doubt. But
they tried their best, I think, to make it the best date possible.
I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah. I really do wonder, though, the state of a lot of these games and whether or not they'll be coming to Switch 2, because
I think they will be.
Because that does make a difference for me, because I'm thinking, like, what do I do after Split Fiction? I want to go back to Assassin's Creed. I might as well finish that game because I'm almost done with it.
Yes.
And then do I
But
save?
I think you could finish Assassin's Creed by the time Doom comes out.
That was my original plan.
Yeah.
Finish Assassin's Creed and then play Doom. But then, are we sure this game is coming to Switch 2?
Which one, Oblivion or
Oblivion.
Doom? I don't see why not. I mean, there's obviously the technical hurdles.
Unreal 5. Can Switch 2 run an Unreal 5?
There are. I don't know. This is why it would be nice if they came out and laid out.
Can someone tell us?
Laid out their plans, because
please?
there's people like us who would like to know.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's a very specific problem that not many people have.
Well, regardless, I can still at least check it out on Game Pass for now.
Sure.
Even if I play just a little bit of it and
Yeah.
I can't transfer a save, I'm more than happy to restart the game on Switch 2 if it comes out on Switch 2. But if not, like, I'm just excited about this game. I want to get back to it. I'm like so in after their little video.
Oblivion.
Yes, Oblivion.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm so excited about it.
Yeah, I think what I'll do is I will just briefly check this out now.
Yeah.
We got to finish Split Fiction. We've been playing Assassin's Creed in a very weird way.
We have been.
Where a lot of starts and stops, but
Yeah.
I want to finish that next.
So I tried to like double dip Assassin's Creed and Xenoblade Chronicles, and that was a mistake.
Don't do that. And then I do think I will play Doom on the Xbox. I think that'll be a good one to play in the moment.
Yeah. I'm excited about that one too.
For whatever reason, I
Is
feel
there
that
multiplayer
way.
in that one?
No, they said they're not.
That's right.
They said they took it
Okay.
out. And then from there, I mean, that kind of takes us into the Switch 2 release.
Yeah,
Like
and then
that'll
you'll
probably
have
be
Mario Kart.
that might be the last game I finish before the Switch 2 comes out. So
Okay.
there you go.
That's a good strategy.
Oh well.
Okay.
Very excited about this though. Cool news.
Yes, very cool.
Okay, that's the news. Big news section this week. Wow. Let's move on to questions from the community. We get each and every one of our questions from our Patreon subscribers. Thank you to all of them. Check us out at patreon.com/KitandKrysta. First comes at you from Tusku. Hi, Kit and Krysta. Nintendo has completely dropped the "We're listening to" from their Twitter bio. What does this say about their communication strategy now, if anything? So I'll just read their bio as it is now. Welcome to the official Nintendo of America X account, where you'll find the latest Nintendo news. For ESRB ratings, go to esrb.org. So they used to just have another sentence that said, "We're listening to." And
that you?
they have since removed
Did
that.
you put that sentence in?
So that's actually a remnant from like day one, I think, from when they started
So it was
it.
me?
I think.
I
I mean,
remember
a lot of people are looking for kind of more sinister undertones of this. Oh, they decided to not.
They're not listening now.
Yeah, they've proved that they're not listening. I think this is maybe something that was due to be taken out.
Yeah.
Could have been taken out at any point.
Right.
Over the last 10 years, honestly.
Why didn't you take it out?
It's a little antiquated because it's like,
Who cares?
it's a who cares.
Yeah. Who cares?
It's a who cares. Like
Because you're not listening.
It does serve a small purpose because they don't respond to anybody. It's like, oh yeah, we have people who are checking this out. But I mean, you could absolutely make the argument of like, that's filler, that means nothing.
Mm-hmm.
People know how social media works. You post something, somebody looks at it, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think as, if they were just doing a refresh of like, let's take this out. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I think that's all it is.
I don't think it was anything deeper than that too. Like I feel like it was just very straightforward. Like they were just refreshing the channels. I do think that you're right in terms of the overall strategy on social has changed though. Instead of a place where they are sharing like actual news, they are now using the channels only to share like.
Well, then they should change that. They say find the latest Nintendo news.
I was getting to that. That's what I was like. I was gonna say instead of taking out and we're listening to, they should have taken out where you'll find the latest Nintendo news because that's actually no longer the strategy for these channels. It's very clear that they're now using this only for sort of like more
Donkey Kong.
fun game.
Cow and Donkey Kong.
It's the Cal and Donkey Kong account. Yeah.
When is the cow takeover of the channel? Remember those? We would do like the Wario takeover.
The Wario takeover. The cow takeover. Just
cow
moo.
takeover.
And that's it for like a whole day.
Instead of wah, it's moo.
Moo instead of wah. Yes.
Excellent.
Okay, I like it.
So yeah, I'm not too up in arms over this.
Yeah, but it is. I mean, not up in arms over the word listening, but more so.
No, keep an eye on what they're posting and what they're not posting over the next like month, because I think it'll be
telling.
an interesting test case of like what is their limit now.
Yeah, in terms of what they're able to post on these channels.
Right. I mean, it is a very Japanese. Like, it seems like in Japan people love websites. Like. The detail of, we posted this on our website, like visit our website, like that seems to be something people in Japan do more regularly than people here. So again, the fact that the pre-order thing was there, like I don't know if they're adopting a more Japanese style.
Right.
They also have in Japan, they have different channels that are
for the different games.
Like they also have like the customer service channel where it is posting kind of more like FAQ, like how-to kind of things, where we always resisted like, again, like
splintering the channels.
The glut of channels, because like it just becomes
hard to manage.
It just becomes one too many. Right. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do and don't post from here.
Yeah, very interesting stuff.
Angel Aid's next. Hi, Koala and Kumquat. That's a fun way to do it.
I guess I'm Kumquat, right?
If you want to be, you can.
Because it's Kit and Krysta, so
All
you're
right.
Koala.
In previous podcasts, you both have shared what it was like at Nintendo during major console launches, the Wii U, Switch, etc. Given all the up and down of Switch 2 launch, especially from a comms and marketing perspective, how long do you think it will be before a future former Nintendo marketing employee shares their own Switch 2 launch stories? 5 years? 10 years? Or since the Redwood City office was closed down and staff centralized to the Redmond office location, are current marketing employees in it for the long haul and we won't hear these stories for decades? Curious to hear what you think and hope you're having a wonderful day or night.
Well, there are still some people that were on our team, when we were at Nintendo, that are still at Nintendo working on Switch 2. So they've been at the company for many years now.
That wasn't the question.
Okay, I misunderstood.
I'll read it again.
I
How long do you think it will be before a future former Nintendo marketing employee shares their own Switch 2 launch stories?
I see. I don't know.
I think it might be sooner than you think. Because again, I go back to your experience where you were ready to leave the company. You said, I need to do this thing before I get out.
Oh.
How many people are like, I'm ready to wrap up my time here, but hey, that's a cool thing to have done, launch a console. How often do you get to do that? I'll do that, and then I'm out of here.
But do you think they'll be public about it?
Well, I don't know. That depends on the person. Nintendo's very good at making people think like, oh my gosh, like I got to take this to the grave, even when
you don't have to.
It's kind of like basic stuff.
Yeah.
Because like there are a lot of people out there. We have conversations with them still, and they're like, oh yeah, I would never want to, and they have their reasons, which are fine.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to talk about this stuff. Like that's fine.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It depends on the person. We'll see.
I guess so. I mean, there is the person that, there are people there that are really in it for the long haul. Nintendo has a very sort of, they kind of pride themselves on the tenure of all of their employees. Like we were there for a really long time, and I'm sure there's going to be people there that are working on the Switch 2 launch that will be there for many more years. But there are there's like a couple of different buckets that people fall into. There is the bucket of people that are like, I need to do this one last thing and then I'll get out. There are also people that joined the company recently, like within the last 1 or 2 years, did this and was like, that was awful. What a terrible experience. I need to get out because I'm losing my mind. So there is that bucket of people too. And I feel like that latter bucket is the person that probably never wants to talk about it ever, because they're like,
I'm over it.
I didn't like this experience. Yeah. It was really hard. I was like, I'm traumatized. I don't want to talk about it. But then there is that bucket of person that's like, oh, this is like my one last thing that I wanted to do. I've been at Nintendo for 15 years. This is the last launch I wanted to do, and then I'll get out. That person might be willing to share some stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Manjock asks, hi you two, who is managing the Nintendo Today app? Honestly, beyond the occasional news update and 3D Switch 2 renders, the rest of the app is just a bunch of low-effort drip feed. On top of that, it creates multiple sources of information rather than a single source of truth. Why do you think they decided to make this app?
Yeah, that was very interesting because they made the app, they made a big deal about the app. Mr. Miyamoto even came out to tell us what to expect from this app. And I was really like boistered with confidence with the first news thing being the Zelda movie announcement. I was like, oh,
they're going big with this.
I was like, yeah, this news app is like really legit. Like we really are going to see news from this. So I started checking it every single day. And
do you still?
Not anymore.
No.
Yeah.
I even set up the little widget on your phone where you can have the big
it's so
thing.
Cute. It was very cute looking.
But I do still check it daily, but I don't really get much out of it.
Right.
It's like they'll occasionally have some screenshots, but I don't know. There's just not much to it.
I kind of feel like I was tricked a little bit. Like I'm kind of disappointed because I really thought, like I downloaded the app right away. I was like excited about it. Anything that Mr. Miyamoto comes out to talk about, I'm always like gonna take really seriously and get excited about. Again, I was like I had like a surge of confidence in this thing when the first few days of it seemed legit.
Yeah.
And even in the days leading up to the Switch 2 launch, I was like, oh, cool. Like, they're actually, like, sharing little teasers on here that I'm not finding anywhere else. There's, like, legit news on here. I have, like, a reason to check this every day. But then I started getting silhouettes of Luigi and Mario. And every day is, like, do a 3D tour of the strap for the Joy-Con.
Do you remember the Play Nintendo website?
Yes.
Which was a website that's for kids, and it had, like, you know, little
like quizzes
activities
and
quizzes.
Yeah.
Like, this feels like the grown-up version of that, where it's like extremely lightweight, just kind of fun and breezy stuff. But yeah, there's just not much to it to make you want to come back every day. And when you talk about like the amount of news that the company generates, like it feels like that there's more that they could be doing with it. And now we're kind of trapped in this what's probably a transition of like, what are they posting there? What are they posting on their actual social channels? You could watch the Mario Kart Direct, I think, on Nintendo today. I didn't do it that way because we had to react to it. But I think you could do it that way. So it's like, is this also going to become kind of
like a video player?
Are you posting all your trailers? It's going to become a YouTube, like it'd be a video tab where you just post what you were posting on YouTube. It's the same. It's the exact same thing we were talking about with the social before. It's like, what are the parameters of what goes on this? Because clearly it's going to be a very sanitized thing. But there are some topics that are more crunchy, more information dense that they could be posting there that they're just not.
And then where are those? Are those now on the website only? Like, how would I find them?
Don't worry about it.
Oh.
Don't worry about it.
But the misinformation.
You don't need to know.
The other thing that, now that you've brought up the Play Nintendo website, the one thing that comes to mind is like, there always seems to be a lesson that's learned when you start any new content channel, where you have like the rude awakening at how difficult it is to sustain the amount of content you need to like support any channel. And they had the same problem with the Play Nintendo website, where it had a great concept of like, this is going to be this hub for kids. Like, we'll have all these little activities. It could be a very safe place. Parents can be happy and feel secure to leave their kids on this website, and they can like scroll around on the little things. But it became so difficult for them to maintain like the cadence of like updates. And I already see the cracks in that on this Nintendo Today app. When you're getting the same Mario silhouette twice in a week, if they're repeating content already.
Well, that's another issue, is like not everybody getting the same thing
at the same time
daily. Like that makes it not essential information. If it's like, oh, you can get this whenever.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's today. It's Nintendo Today. I want the today.
What is the today? What is the today?
It can't be today for me and tomorrow for you.
And yesterday for him.
That makes no sense, but
Yeah, it's really, I feel like Nintendo is in a very, and I think, again, this really has affected communication overall for the company. And you can see the cracks of it as we watch this launch happening.
Yeah.
Because they have no shortage of places to give you information, but they themselves seems to have lost the way of where to put stuff, where to put this information.
But there's also a big chunk of it that just seems to have moved into the NG. Remember that? No good.
Oh, no good.
There's a whole column. It's like we're just not touching any of this ever again.
Yeah, but some of them needs to be.
But some of that stuff is information that people need.
Yeah, it's G though.
It is G, but it's NG.
But it's NG. But it should be G.
Yes.
But yeah, and also because you have sort of things in these various places, people are confused, and there's no centralized place to find information.
Yeah.
So what are you supposed to do? That's for them to solve.
To answer the question, though, who is managing this app?
Probably the website team, I would say. The web team, the news team.
That's an option. There's the Switch News.
The Switch News team
seems like a good option.
They have actual like copywriters and resources.
They have the resources to do it. It feels kind of in line with some of the stuff that they would be putting up there.
Yeah.
So I think those are our guesses. But it's got to be a big global initiative, because you've got to get this ready. And I'm sure, oh my gosh, remember in Europe it was like, we have 14 languages, we must localize, so we need. So again, like the undertaking of daily, like there's no days off. There are no days off for
this. Yeah, this is tough.
This is 365 days a year, and like,
Of
what is
Mario
what is that?
silhouettes.
How far ahead are they planning?
Yeah.
You know, are they planning today? Like, I don't know,
3 months ago,
a month
2
ahead?
months
Are they a
ago?
month ahead? Like, what is their lead time? I don't know.
Or are they now like falling more and more behind?
Because we would always hear that from Europe, but like, we're not doing anything unless you give us this much of a lead time, because
Yeah.
we have 14 languages,
We got to translate everything.
which is
gotta
a very real issue that
It's a real challenge
a real
that
issue
they
that
have.
they face. Yes.
This is a very tough job.
Yeah.
I don't know why they took this on, honestly. It surely can't be to share Mario silhouettes with us, because that's not just, honestly, that's just not worth it for the amount of work that you have to do to keep this thing afloat.
Yeah.
Like, unless you truly are like, we are going to stand up this channel to share like actual news globally. Like, wow, what an undertaking. But I'm actually doing like the job of like a real newsroom to do this thing. Like, sure, that seems worth it, but if you're just showing me a 360 degree of a strap, like, I don't know if that's worth
Right.
it, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Last question's from Phantom Cookie. Hi, Kit and Krysta. Across the Nintendo community, it has been generally assumed that there will be some sort of acknowledgement of Mario's 40th anniversary later this year. However, that was under the assumption that a big Mario game would release later this year, which now looks to be incredibly unlikely, given how packed their release schedule is next year. Which Mario Kart world, seemingly being detached from any possible anniversary celebrations, do you think it's likely that Nintendo may not even commemorate Mario's 40th anniversary this year?
Oh, no. That's very sad.
I think they still
I think they will.
Yes.
September is the actual
So the actual anniversary is then, and back in 2020, which is a bad comparison for anything, because that was a weird year, that's when they had the anniversary direct, and they kicked off all of the activities, and... You know, we thought Mario Day would have been a good time to start
yeah.
some sort of a campaign, but I think now that, you know, the summer is clearly all Switch 2 all the time, you probably find a window in September to come back and do this once the dust is settled on the launch a little bit.
Yeah.
Still get people excited? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think September seems like a good time to do it. Maybe there's a remake or a remaster of something to celebrate. Maybe not the brand new, 3D Mario game.
Yeah, the point about the assumption that there'd be a big Mario game to coincide with it, like, that's not really how the developers are looking at it.
Anniversary.
It's like, I want to make the next great Mario game. It's not, I need to make the next great Mario game to launch during this anniversary. Like, they're not really looking at, if it happens, that's a happy coincidence and great. We'll talk about it. We'll fold it into that, but that's never the starting point for those things. And like you said, there's a lot of other things that they can do. If, like, bring back Mario 35, make it Mario 40, some other little compilation of something.
They'll do some fun compilations.
There's still
They'll do some celebrations, maybe at the theme parks.
Right. They're really going to be close to needing to do something with the movie in September.
Right.
Because we remember, it was New York Comic Con, which I think is in October, was when they showed the first trailer.
Yeah, Mr. Miyamoto was there as well.
Right. So if it's like, well, now we'll show the first trailer or some teaser or some poster or something.
On the 40th anniversary.
During the... Sounds awesome. I'm down.
And I do think the partners, the Nintendo partners, like Universal is going to be like, hey, can we do something tied to the anniversary? Or like, Lego, can we do something tied to the anniversary? They might be asking those questions of Nintendo.
So I'm still confident in this.
I don't think it is likely tied to any sort of new Mario game, though.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Those are the questions. Thank you to everybody who sent one in. Don't forget to subscribe to us at patreon.com/Kit and Krysta.
Yes.
I'm not joking. Get the early access. We record these on a Tuesday. These episodes are out on a Tuesday. So if you're listening on a Thursday...
we turn around and edit in like 4 hours.
You might be missing out, and you can even get a free trial for the tier that gets you the early access. How cool is that? But we've also got exclusive content like gameplay videos, bonus Q&As, behind the scenes, all sorts of other stuff. Wow. Check us out.
You can watch the Kirby video.
Check us out.
It's really good. We're on the socials. We're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Blue Sky, and Threads. And we are listening and responding to you.
Should we put that in our bio?
We should put that in our bio.
As a troll?
You should copy their bio. We're the source for Nintendo news, because we are. And we're listening. And we'll respond to you.
That's not a bad idea. Oh, if you are watching... Oh, this ice cream truck is still there.
It's back.
Oh,
it was gone for a while and it came back. Hurry up.
You're going to want to double time through this. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can please subscribe to this channel. Give this video a thumbs up and leave us a comment. If you're listening on audio like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can also subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, and leave a written review if you please.
Yay! Let's shout out some wonderful Patreon community members. Our Patreon family has been growing.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you so much for everyone that
So
has
true.
joined us. Welcome to this incredible community. They've been doing some really fun stuff. Currently in the midst of a community Smash tournament.
It's amazing.
I'm going to put some graphics here
Yes,
because,
please.
oh my gosh, I'm just so proud of them. I lurk and watch them as they play. Don't be freaked out. I can't participate because I'm horrible at Smash, but I'm like, oh, I'm so proud of them. They're so cute. But let's shout out our final boss, Aaron Hash.
I'm talking a lot with Aaron Hash about how we're very excited about the return of Andor.
Yes, we're going to be watching Andor
Star
tonight.
Wars show happening this week.
Yes, Aaron Hash is so sweet too. He's like, if you need help with a pre-order, I can help you. What a great boss.
We might.
What a great boss, Aaron.
We might.
Can you imagine if your old boss was like, let me help you with a pre-order? That would be hilarious. That would not have happened. Superstars. Ben Eichhorn.
Mara Mayhem.
Eigenverse.
Kiss My Flapjack.
Mike Shin.
Roy Eschke.
Switching it up. _
VGM Life.
Link, the hero of wins.
Angela Bycroft.
Thomas O'Rourke.
Kyle LaBeouf.
Roberto Nieves.
Frederick Ulf Conradson.
Andrew Uhas.
Chili.
Simon.
Crushuri.
Master Discord.
Ash.
Ajay Kunlas.
40 Gig.
Travis Torline.
Echo Ladera.
That's so Linnell.
MSM Poke Gamer.
Cameron.
And R. Burns.
Woohoo! Okay, and the One Up Club. Aaron Burgundy.
Ale Alejandro.
Andy Peachy.
Andy Robinson.
Angel 8.
Aristu.
Astrodev.
Awesome 46.
Axel.
Barnstorm.
Bates.
Ben GB.
Ben McKee.
Big and Gamer with a Y.
Brandon Cavapill.
Brent Dennison.
Brian Decker.
Brovac Novak.
Bruce Dash.
Bucky Flores.
Shadir.
Shelly Squirrel.
Crispy Saurus.
Chris Galvin.
Christopher Lay.
Cosmic Titan 718.
Captain Alex.
C Roper 17.
Dagda Leo.
Dallas E.
Daniel Phillips.
Dachshund.
Debbie P.
Doinko.
Dre.
Duck.
Dude Dad Life Trilek.
Eccentric Tony.
Elite Peach.
Elizabeth Speltz.
Esports 50.
Fairbound.
Fernie and Just Forever.
Fox Deploy.
Funky Hand.
Gamers Likes Anime.
Garth the Wolf.
Gartooth.
Gin Wolf.
Guilty Phoenix 42.
Handheld Gamer.
Happy Sloth.
I May Have Made a Mistake.
Iris Marin.
Jay Rando.
Jack Hoving.
Jack 95.
Jameson Eisenberg.
Joe Encarnacion.
Jonathan Rowe.
Jordan Hemmerly.
Joshua Clements.
Juju Fruit.
Justin Lemminger.
Jay Wolf.
Colin CPU 57.
Kawa 2796.
Keith Kwan.
Kevin Delane.
Kevin Moreno.
Kilo Kibo.
Kristarati Kid.
Christopia Party With Me.
KS3261.
Kyle Gamer Berry Rookie.
Kyle 325.
Kyle Kretzer.
Kyle R. Smith.
Lazy Cat for Coffee.
Leviahu.
Lex.
Lightwood.
Link 9898.
Lil Mikey.
Linkle.
Light Latte.
Lit.
Lucas Pico.
Luigi 53.
Luke Hayabusa.
Luna B.
Lynn.
Macho Potato.
Mad Dog 5981.
Magnificent Easy G plus Callie Marie.
Mario Man 392.
Mark S.
Marky Man 64.
Maverick Nate.
Mecha Dragon 101.
Megan.
May plus Leon.
Michael Mazer.
Michael Wong.
Mikey.
Mr. Ryan 07.
Motomania.
Mr. Andy Pong.
Mr. Beans and Dip.
Mytran.
Naimi.
Nasir.
Negbia Reeves.
Naif E.
Ninja 11.
Noah-san.
Pangy.
Paper Boat.
Patrice Millette.
Paul.
Paul Gill Network.
PokeDigiFan 20.
Prime Factor.
Prince Charmless.
Punky.
Rain Tech.
Record Rumble.
Rick Alvarado.
Rob M.
Rob O.
Romsky 113.
Rocks.
Ryan Hayes 521.
Ryan Haas.
Ryanetta.
Sage Gamer.
Sebastiano Garais.
Sharif Jackson.
Shinryu.
Schmiggles.
Slowblow.
Schnazzle.
Spacey Poo.
Spicy Munchkin.
Starman DX.
Steel Citron.
Stephen Rockoff.
Pseudo Priest.
Tales of Link.
Tandem.
Tay120 and 64.
Teal Fox 64.
The Kagers.
The Quiet One.
The Shark Among Men.
The Schmidt One.
Thomas Alvarez.
Three Rivers.
Torcheeks.
Totally Joe Ed.
Totomaru.
Trajawi.
Treftendo 88.
Tugs Puppy Bear.
Tusku.
Tyler Geis.
Uncle Jungle.
Victor MK.
Video Game Stupid.
Vidgmictor.
Viridian.
Virtual Bot.
WG Grizzy.
YUYU.
Wicked Davy.
Zachary S.
Zelgaroff.
Zapati.
Zero Link.
Ezroid.
I think the ice cream truck left.
I think it left.
While we were reading names. Darn it!
No regrets.
No regrets. So we gotta read faster. Now we know that the ice cream truck comes at
Now we're going to reschedule these podcasts.
noon on Tuesdays.
Now we know.
We could just take a break and have the ice cream during
No.
the podcast. I don't think anyone would mind. Okay, we're ice creamless, but we're going to wrap this podcast up. See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.